Alright then, so in the last video we went out and we grabbed some data, then we updated our template with that data. Now I'd like to talk about something called filters in Vue.js. So what filters allow us to do is take the data that we output and manipulate it or change it in some way so that when it is output to the browser, it's done in the way we want it to be. For example, we could take this title data that we output and we could run a filter on it that changes every single letter in that title to a random color. So it has like a rainbow effect on the screen. That's one possibility. We could create a filter to do that. Another possibility, which is what we're going to do in this video, is to take the post body and say, okay, we don't want it to be this long down here. We just want it to be 50 characters long and then ... or something like that. Okay, to say there's more to come. And then you'd have to click on the blog to read more. So we can alter our data, how we output it, to display that refined body using a filter. So then, how do we use filters? Well, in the template, when we're using a filter, what we do after the data is a pipe symbol, which is next to my spacebar, then the filter name. So I'm going to call this snippet. Now you can call this filter whatever you want, but it makes sense to me since we want this to just be a snippet of the body. So obviously this doesn't exist yet, this filter, so we need to make it first of all. Now, if we want to make a filter globally, what we'll do is create it in main.js, where Vue initially kicks in and takes control of our application. So the way we do this, first of all, let's do a comma, create global filter. And the way we create this filter is by taking the Vue object first of all, then using a method called .filter. And this filter method takes two parameters. First of all, what is the name of this filter? Well, we called it snippet, so that will be our first parameter. Secondly is a function, and this function runs on the value that we're trying to output to the browser to alter it, to manipulate it in some way, shape or form, and then returns an updated value, which is then output to the browser. So this is going to be an arrow function. It takes that value and it passes it into this function. So when we use this snippet right here, it takes this value that we're trying to output, passes it into this function right here, so we can now manipulate it. So the first thing I'd like to do is make sure that this value actually exists and it's not null, and also that it is a string. So we'll say if, then we'll use not val, which means, okay, if this doesn't exist, or, which is double pipe, if type of val is not equal to string, so we'll say not equal to string. Then what we want to do is just return an empty string. Now, if this does exist, this value, and it's a string, it will ignore this line. Therefore, we can do something with it. And we'll say, okay, we'll take that value and update it. So now it's equal to val.slice, and we'll go from 0 to position 50. So we're taking that value that comes in now and we're slicing it so that it's just 50 characters long from the start, and then we're updating the value of this val variable. So now what we can do is return this updated val so that this is the thing that's output to the browser. Okay, does that make sense? We take in the value, then we pass out the updated value. So let's save this over here and view this in a browser. So now we can see that this stuff is much shorter than we had before because we used a filter on it. If we take that filter off, then it will be longer again. Okay, so that is filters. They're a nice way to manipulate the way we output data to the browser.